In today's conversation, we discuss the role of awareness in breaking habits and finding meaningful reasons for change. So join us as we share our experiences with addiction and reflect on how facing our fears can lead to personal growth and happiness.
So, good morning, Luciano.
Buenos dias on this sunny
How's the life?
Barcelonian day. Life is very good.
Barcelonian, that's pretty nice.
And it's an official word
It's an official word.
since today.
Barcelonian. All right. So, I asked you this morning, like, hey, Luciano, well, let's do the podcast, but I don't really have anything specific. Do you have something? And you're like,
I can start with something.
I might have something. You said,
You want to start?
you.
Okay. The other day I was thinking, I was reading, blah, 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 and I was thinking about life in general and what my life is about. And some time ago, and I think we've talked about this, I realized the main thing about my life is evolving, trying to evolve. And then I started to think, why do we drink alcohol and smoke weed and even eating sugar or mainly in my life, at least, it's alcohol and weed. In everybody's life, it's drugs. So these things, at least for me, normally put like a nice blanket over everything where you don't have to feel everything as intensely, right? They bring you out of your normal consciousness and put you in an altered state of consciousness. So everything gets a little bit easier, Then I realized that if I'm actually trying to evolve and if I want to give this my all, it's like trying to accomplish something with the handbrake on. If I keep doing this.
It's a good analogy, yeah.
So this led me eventually to, now I'm thinking about it, because to me alcohol has always been related a lot with fun. So I started imagining myself, okay, what am I gonna do on a weekend, if I go to a bar, if I hang out with friends, if I go on a date. But the conclusion I came to is, if you feel uncomfortable in these situations, or if you feel scared or shy or nervous or whatever, all these feelings that normally come up, or bored even, this is all your body letting you know that you have to work on these things, right?
Yeah.
So it might be much more fun if once I go past the body cravings, to focus on these subjects without any additives, without anything at all. And I've never really looked at it this way, because I've done months without drinking many, many times, but it was always something where I would be resisting the drinking urge, so to say. It's not like I'm an alcoholic, but if you go out and everybody's having a great time, and you're the only one sitting there and looking at them, it's like constantly fighting against ordering a beer.
Yeah, and also I think if everybody is drinking, then at some point people get a couple of drinks in them and you're not drunk or even a little bit intoxicated, and you're on different levels, right?
Yes.
If everybody's drinking around you and getting drunk and you're in those situations, it's definitely in the beginning, if you're not used to it, it's kind of annoying as well, I would imagine.
Super annoying. It's super annoying. I've done it, and people start talking bullshit and they think they're extremely funny.
Yeah.
But from your point of view, they're not at all. Even a little bit. They're fucking idiots. Exactly. Even happened to me yesterday. I was out with my brother, Santi, which I love to death.
Yeah.
But he had 4 or 5 beers, and eventually, after a little while, his conversation started to become annoying or boring. I'm easily annoyed. That's a mea culpa, but still, come on, man. But that's not what this is about. If I can somehow reframe that and actually believe this and actually do this, that it's more fun to be 100% sober, because then you'll be more receptive to the clues your body and your mind is giving you, then I think it might be worth it to actually try this.
Yeah.
So now I am on day 2.
No, but I think it's good. My question, first of all, I think, the realization that you basically you're in a situation that, for example, that you're bored and that you want something. It can be, for me, it's the same, like alcohol, cigarette, anything, drugs, or for me it can even be something stupid as checking how many products we've sold with the company.
Yeah, you need that dopamine.
You need something, and first of all, realizing that those impulses in the end are very, I mean, for me at least, for you I don't know, but for my personal life, very toxic to your own growth, or it's with the handbrake on as a perfect example. So I think if you want to change, the first thing that you realize that is actually, really holding you back, and that you don't want to be like that you can see the challenge in trying to have fun without the alcohol, and basically going through that uncomfortable feeling. I think that's a really good first step. And I wonder, what do you think about the having fun part in these situations? Because if your life stays the same, and if you go out with people and have drinks, and if your dates, dates can be fun, I guess, without, but I would say, if everybody around you is drinking, do you see that as an impediment? Do you think that would be difficult? Do you think the type of fun changes if you...
Well, it's hard to project myself into the future, but yeah, probably won't be easy, at least not at first.
Yeah.
Because eventually, I think the human body gets used to anything. And we get used to, not that the body, we as persons get used to anything. And I'll just find the fun somewhere else. So, meaning, maybe I'm out with friends, everybody's shit-faced. If I'm bored of the situation, I'll just go talk to the girl at the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll just switch a little bit without having to exclude all these people from my life, which is not the goal at all.
Yeah, but don't you think that you will, based on previous experiences, you will at least have we'll start with a slight disconnect, right? Because they will get drunk, or at least tipsy, and you will get annoyed, and you'll be like, now what? And then you'll have the goal of just going through that, trying to be more social, talking to girls or whatever. But they probably also will be drunk or intoxicated. I understand you don't want to change your life, and at least, but don't you think that, I imagine it will become annoying quite quickly?
Yes, but I'm also 42, and my life is already changing. I'm more like the latecomer in this. I have a couple of very good friends that have stopped drinking for months now, for example, and day plans are becoming more predominant versus night plans, which is relatively new. So I'm thinking I'm just jumping on the wagon life is offering me.
Yeah.
So it's not I'm not 21 where everybody wants to get shit-faced all the time.
Exactly.
So I'm just gonna be more open to, let's hang out and have coffee or go into nature or have an excursion or whatever, instead of let's go to the bar and get fucked up.
Exactly.
I'm gonna exclude that part exclusively, because when I'm there, all these feelings in the bar are gonna come up, like I'm bored or whatever, and I'm gonna have to learn how to deal with those feelings, or what do they mean? Which fear do they represent, if any? Is it fear of, I don't know, whatever. So I'm gonna learn that. So I think all situations can be good, even useful.
I saw you because we went on a ski trip recently, and I was wondering, because I was observing, I think that ski trip I was mainly by the fire, sitting, you were logs in the fire.
You were the pyromaniac of the ski trip. You were the fireman. The fireman.
Yes, so I was mainly doing that, and a lot of people were getting high and drinking a lot. I was drinking a bit myself, but I also didn't really feel the need to interact that much, mainly because fire is just awesome, and when you look at it, it's like you don't need to do anything.
During that trip, I asked myself 20 times the question, why is fire so hypnotic?
With this,
I found no answer at all.
Exactly, which at least you tried.
I tried.
Exactly. But I was looking at you as well. You were sitting on the couch, and I remember asking you, you okay or something? And you were like, yeah, I'm just chill here. Because most of the time, You're quite outgoing and social, and I would even say the life of the party.
Oh, wow.
Oh, exactly.
Wow. I'll take that home.
And then now you're like super chill on the couch, and I was wondering what is going on, what's going through your mind at this point in time.
Well,
Are you looking at all of us because you were the oldest one at the trip? I think.
was I?
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah.
I think so. But
And-
length in some cases.
Yeah, there was one woman who was 37, I think, and the rest, me or younger, I would say, so 34. So I was wondering, like, my perspective, and I might be totally wrong, but I was like, you were sitting there and looking at us, I'm like, is this the situations that I want to be in? Like evaluating what was going on there, and if it was something you enjoyed or not, like.
Well, to me, the part that I didn't know many of the people,
Yeah.
of course, influences everything.
Yeah.
Because you're talking to this guy, you're talking to that
Yeah.
guy, or this girl or that girl, and normally the conversations stay quite shallow.
Yeah.
And that night where you asked me, I was pretty drunk and very, very high. So,
That helps.
yeah, and eventually when I'm not super connected to the conversation that's going
Yeah.
on around me, I just go within myself, which is also a pretty good place to be in. That's why when you ask me, I was like, I'm good. But in the trip in general, it came and went. Like for certain times I was great, like feeling super comfortable with you guys. But other times I was like, I don't know anybody here. Maybe, I don't know, next trip I'm going to do with more people I'm really close with,
Makes sense.
But it was definitely a good experience and a good try. But yeah, I think I decided after this trip that next trip for sure, I'm going to be with more people I'm really close with.
Makes sense.
Other than that, yeah.
So
What-
not really evaluating these specific situations that now we're having the conversation about the drinking and stuff. So I thought maybe
No.
that tied into each other. But
No, I don't even remember how I got to this. Maybe it planted a seed that later led to this. But no. It wasn't the origin thing. And let's see how long it lasts. Because I've done these things before, and maybe we should talk in 3 months' time,
Is it connected to the anxiety that, like last time we spoke, we had a conversation about anxiety. Is the alcohol a relief to anxiety, or does it?
Sure. Also weed, mostly. I mean, when I smoke weed, it kind of gives you this feeling that everything is going to be okay.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be good. You just relax, you're there.
Yeah.
And you stop thinking about all the future stuff or whatever.
That's a big one. Yeah, exactly.
That's anxiety, right?
Yeah.
When you're thinking about the
Yeah.
future and everything that can go wrong. But I've always been a little bit against additives, meaning swallowing a pill to feel better or snorting a line of cocaine, which I've never done, but many people do. Because why do we need all these things to make us feel better? Isn't it much healthier if we're looking at why are we not feeling so good to begin with,
Yeah.
instead of just putting a Band-Aid on it,
Yeah.
So I always keep coming back to the same. If maybe I need to taper it out instead of what I'm doing, which is cutting with everything at once. But I don't know.
But it might also be how society is set up nowadays that because we live in such unnatural is kind of a strange word because we are, I would say unnatural compared to how we lived in the past as humans. Like, wouldn't it be possible that because of the very strange living situations and societal situations that we have, meaning we're all so isolated and we are not like complete human beings. We are in a very real sense just cogs in the machine, like parts of the machine, like big organizations. You do the data inputs, or you do the design, or you do you're a cashier at the desk, but you do not stack the food, or you don't drive. You do one single thing and you repeat that the whole time, right?
Yes.
And you go home to your apartment or your family, which is an isolated unit again. In the street, you see a lot of people, but you don't interact with them. definitely in big cities. Like in smaller cities, sometimes you might have some social interaction, and we're just so alone compared to how we were. Like we would, I think, never be alone if you look at how in the these hunter-gatherer societies, well, it's not even called a society, like tribes. Like I think the children, they are carried. I don't know which one specifically it was, but the mother carries the child on her body for like the first year or 2 years.
Really?
Constantly. Like it's always connected to
Because they can't walk and they need
the
to
mother.
move.
Yeah, exactly, exactly to the mother's warmth. You know. So I would also, I think, yes, I think everybody needs something, but I would also say it's kind of a band-aid, but it's also very difficult in the society that we live in. If you look at our needs as an organism, I think not many are met in our current, for most people, not many of our, let's say, higher needs are met. Most of our lower needs, meaning we survive, that's good. We have food to eat, and we have a roof above our head most of the time. But those are just the physical survival things we need. But apart from that, we need a lot more. And I think a lot of these other needs do not get fulfilled for many people. And that, I think, as a thing, like alcohol, for example, is something that takes away
The pain of that.
Yeah, exactly. And your limits, like we are very distant as people. Like we're not. I think if you look at a more naturally, the whole distance we create between, let's say, men, right? I think I don't know if it was in Turkey, but one country, like a Middle Eastern country, where men walked. No, Nepal was in Nepal. And men who are not gay, they walk hand in hand there, like friends.
Okay.
And that's super weird.
It's so weird to imagine.
Super weird, but I mean...
I could never.
But why not?
Maybe I could, but
But
nowadays, with the culture,
exactly
what I've been taught, I could never. I grew up in Argentina, man.
Yeah, that's super macho.
Super macho.
Exactly, you don't do that.
You don't do
But
that.
what happens when you drink a liter of vodka, you know? You're like hugging, like, hey, man.
Right?
You know?
Yeah, because we need that closeness.
We do need the closeness. So these things, they exist and they're so popular for a reason as well, because we are living in a society, I would say, that has cut us off from so many of the basic, even physical, and that sounds like physical touch, but connection needs that we have. And I think, so that's, I think, that's also why if you cut it out completely, I mean, it might also remove you further away. You might be isolated more, the weed, you know, all of these things that...
Or not, because I 100% agree. Society is what makes us feel like most of people that have sadness, depression, anxiety, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And most of them cure this with either pills or alcohol or weed. But it makes you ask, why is alcohol so cheap in most countries, most westernized countries at least? It's because if not, people would go nuts.
Yes, they would fucking go nuts for
There's
sure. Yeah.
such a huge lack of purpose and aloneness, as you say, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think the way to solve this is putting on a little Band-Aid.
Yeah.
I think the way to solve is to look the problem straight into the eye and either go crazy or modifying things in your life until you don't feel that pain anymore or until you've solved it. If it's being closer with people, well, then while being sober,
Yes.
walk up to a friend and put their arm around their friend, give them a hug.
Free hugs by Luciano.
Free hug.
Coming in the near future.
My brother actually did this. He stood on Las Ramblas, this pedestrian
I think
street.
I know which brother.
Yeah. And he stood there by himself with a sign, free hugs.
Yeah. And
Open eyes. And he got a few hugs and he had a great time.
that's nice. It's
Another time he went out and I think he gave out balloons or stuff like that.
yeah, that's very nice one. Like those kind of things. Like we all should do them more often. And with the drinking, I'm just saying that like if you would cut it out, in general, I think the environment you move in probably needs to change. If you just do it by yourself and you don't change a bit of your environment, you don't get a deeper connection or more sense of community with a quote unquote more healthy group of people. I'm not saying alcohol or drinking per se is unhealthy, but it would be more healthy if we would not need to do it, you know?
Mhm.
So I think most people have a lot of low-level addictions: caffeine, alcohol, weed, tobacco, sugar. Like there's a lot of things we on a daily basis consume that basically spikes our, I don't know, the popular word I guess is dopamine, even though I have no idea like what it is, but there's different
Neurotransmitter.
neurotransmitters, thank you very much. Different neurotransmitters that make you feel good. So I think as a whole, the society is quite sick. So then if you choose to not do these things, I guess in the beginning, maybe not, but if you really want to make a lifelong change or you think it's better, then I would think like the environment also would need to change with you. You would need to alter your environment or change your environment a bit, or at least the activities you do, like you already said you're doing with the environment, as in going on hikes or trips away during the day instead of drinking in the night, etc., etc. And I think then, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer that you will feel a lot happier, yeah.
Probably. If I can withstand the pressure. Because work builds up stress. And then the loneliness or whatever.
No, man, go to
builds
the
up
sauna.
stress.
Go to sauna.
A sauna?
Yeah.
Why a sauna?
Meditate, do breath work for the stress.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
there's other things you can do.
If
Exercise,
but-
walking, get a dog.
get a dog. Yeah, but I'm 42 now, and since I was 18, probably always the solution when I felt exhausted, tired. Because now it's morning, I'm full of discipline, and I'm filled with a lot of let's go do this. But after a long work day, if you got a few cracks, and somebody goes like, "Hey, let's go for a beer," you go, "Fuck yeah, I deserve that," right?
Yeah.
Especially till the cravings of the body are over, or since that automatic part in your brain has been neutralized.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like shit. Oh, let's go get this.
Exactly.
I feel like that. Let's go do that. We have to change our habits too, right?
Exactly. And you have to bring the awareness to the situation, because I think, I mean, I don't, also I have a girlfriend and a dog, so that's also why I don't drink and party that much anymore. That's a big reason. But apart from that, like I used to do more drugs, and now in a year I don't think I've done any drugs. I smoked a bit of weed, but nothing else. A lot of alcohol, and in general, I think I've shifted my habits towards a more quote unquote healthy pattern. And for me, what really helped is the awareness, to bring awareness to the situation. I think we spoke about this before. Like after a long day of work, you might be tired, but if you're like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym, or go to the sauna, or do something, or go for a run, or something that you would think might work, but you're not really looking forward to. And then you try to be really aware during and after how you feel. And the same thing if you go get the drinks, or you try and see the whole picture, like what does it do to you, what are the long-term effects, like project yourself in the future. And I think then you have the best chances of actually changing a behavior. Because if you, for me personally at least, like I never wanted to go to the gym, never wanted to go doing anything basically, or even like cleaning my home, which I enjoy actually.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah, exactly.
I do it grudgingly.
Yeah, like I really love taking care of myself. I've realized, and I thought I hated it because so much effort, but I really put in my awareness there, and like during the process and after, like the whole thing is a win. Like I always feel better after I do it.
Okay.
So this morning, the example, we have a dog. The dog is eating the fence. So the fence gets destroyed. The fence needs to be replaced. There was a whole thing. We had a talk with Blanca, my girlfriend, like, okay, let's buy a higher quality fence. The thing came, it didn't work. So now this morning she wanted to remove the old fence, put the old other fence. And I'm like,
pain in the ass.
exotic pain in the ass, right? And then I'm like, okay, let's go for a walk. Let's do it. And it takes 15 minutes. 15, it's nothing. And while doing it, I'm trying to be aware, how do I feel? I'm like, I'm outside, I'm working with my hands, it's nice. And then after you look at the result and it's nice, and now that thing that was in the back of your head that you had to do, it's done, and that's nice. So I'm trying to understand that which part of this was actually, I was so struggling and looking, not looking forward, looking, how do you say that? That you don't...
Yeah, dreading it.
Yeah, dreading doing these things. And by bringing more awareness, I've realized that I actually enjoy the smaller and bigger things that are taking care of myself by just realizing while I'm doing it and while I'm done, the whole trajectory basically is pleasurable for me. But I used to think it was different because it was so much effort.
But that's the thing, right? I think our brains or bodies are programmed to avoid energy expansion. Expansion, is that a word? Expenditure. Thank you very much. The body doesn't want to spend energy, and until you teach him to, it will be like, no, let's not do that. Let's stay on a comfortable couch. Let's stay here. Until you do it enough times, while the benefits are also ingrained in our body brains. So I'm thinking it comes from there, right? Until you build it up to be a habit, you will always fight it a little. Well, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to fix the fence. I don't want to clean, etc. But yeah, I think that's the origin story of it all.
Yeah, for me, it has to do with what you said, the whole growth thing and wanting to become a better person. For me, that's also a running theme throughout my life. And nearly all of those things, I want to be a more complete person that can build a fence, that can cook the basic things, that cleans up after himself, that can run a business, that knows how to take care of his body, that goes to the gym, that's psychologically healthy and stuff. Because in the end, I realized like it's fun, and I just want to do it. I want to be self-sustainable or reliable. I don't know where that exactly comes from, but for me, it's very meaningful to do that. So most of these things that you, I think with the alcohol, it's the same thing. You said like it's a crutch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're kind of the same. That you're like, I want to remove those crutches and I want to grow as an individual. And I don't want to need those things. So by really analyzing or being aware of what you do now already, maybe for yourself, that maybe in the beginning you didn't like doing, possibly that can lead to, like for me, yeah, I don't know, it can lead to really enjoying actually the things, like with the alcohol, for example.
I hope so.
That would be nice.
It would be great, right? I go out and have a great time because, look at this fear that now just appeared. Now I can challenge it instead of ignoring it because I'm drunk.
Yeah.
And the whole decision process changes too. Like a week back, I had a few beers and I was kind of trying to eat healthy. And immediately after beer number 4, I bought some weed and I went for a burger. So, and your whole perception of reality changes. Somebody might be talking to you and you perceive it as aggressive while he's just trying to be a good dude. So, yeah, that doesn't help at all the goal I'm trying to achieve, which is growing or evolving or whatever. Then let's give it a try. And if it works out as it did with boxing or working for myself or all these other things, where at first it's a pain in the ass, then you slowly get used to it. And after a while, you start to really enjoy it. Then fuck yeah.
Exactly. And I think those effects, those are normally the effects that people don't see with the food thing. You know, they have 4 beers and then it's not just the beers, it's your whole decision tree that now is like, you first you're like, I'm going to eat healthy, and you're slightly more inclined to eat shit food, and you're going to eat bad food. In the beginning, you were never going to smoke weed, and now you had 4 beers, and like, maybe you have some weed, and you were going to go to bed early, maybe not. And then that leads to the next...
I would talk to that girl and suddenly...
Yeah, that's also true. So it's not just bad. And then the next day, you're like, you know, you go to bed a bit later, and then you wake up a bit later, and you have a bit of a headache, and you have to go, you know, your work is a bit less productive, you're a bit more tired, and it leads to all these consequences. And the other part is also true. Like you have like the vicious virtuous cycles.
Mm-hmm.
So the vicious cycle like even small habits can have quite a huge detrimental effect, because one decision towards less impulse control, like being like that you now wanted the instant gratification, like that leads to opening more doors to other instant gratification things, which in the end, that whole pattern will not make you happy.
No.
But if you make a step, like let's say you wake up and you're like, I'm gonna go for a walk, sun is shining, and you start doing one thing, you're also gonna get some nice dopamine from just doing a walk next to the beach, or like for half an hour outside. Now that's your start, and you feel a bit better, and that leads you to the next time you have a difficult decision. Like you're like, I kind of want candy, but I can have the salad as well. Well, then the next time you're slightly more inclined to eat the salad or whatever is good for you. So these super small things like the alcohol as well, it can in the end make a massive change in your life, but it makes it all easier if you just see the whole picture, like you just said. Like the alcohol leads to weed, leads to sleeping worse, leads to maybe talking to the girl though.
No, but what I was thinking in my brain was I would never talk to this girl because I wasn't attracted to her, and then 4 years after I just go and like suddenly we're in bed together. Whatever. I'm like, no, why did I do that? Why?
That's also a problem.
That's something I want to avoid. But what I'm guessing from what you said earlier is it all comes down to awareness. Because if you're aware of everything that tiny decision will bring you in the future, you might think twice about it.
But it's difficult. It's really difficult. And when you're in it,
practice, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, I'm telling you this, but then I think last week about the anxiety, I was thinking about it, and I realized more like, shit, I'm actually really anxious. And then I started to look at my behavior, and I know that the checking of how much have we sold, I did that again, like, let's say 20 times a day, which is not necessary.
Okay.
Once a week is fine. So
once a week is enough.
And what happens when you check? Yeah, we need to do it once a week so we can make strategic adjustments.
Okay.
I did it when I woke up, and then etc. So what's the effect of that? You never get the work out of your brain, because you constantly are like looking at, okay, is it going well? Is it not going well? And you're tying your happiness and your happiness and how relaxed you are to these things. So I couldn't switch off. I've realized this many times, and again, I was maybe not a month in or 2 months in, always running from A to B to C. Like I'm like talking to my girlfriend, like I need to change something. I don't know what to do. Like we have the dog, so it's more busy. But how do I do it? And then for some reason, I don't even know why. Like I got this idea, and I was like, I'm not gonna check the sales for 180 days.
180 days.
I don't know why. And I'm like, I'm not going to tell Blanca, our girlfriend, because the thing with telling these things, I'm saying it now, but I don't.
Well, this makes you accountable. That's why I'm telling you the non-alcohol thing.
In a sense, yes, that's also true. But for me, also in a sense, I think my brain, the more you say something, the more you already feel like you achieved it. There's some strange connection with it.
I agree.
So, and I wanted to keep it more for me. So, but now I've did this for this. Today is a week.
Well done.
Thank you very much. The first day already
was hard.
I know why I got it. I did a microdose for the first time in 4 months. So I had like and I suddenly had the mushroom microdose, 0.07 grams, so very micro. But that day I had the slight perception shift, and I could see I am doing this to myself.
Okay.
I just had one moment of awareness, and I cold turkey quit it. Like I didn't do it again. I'm not saying I will come back. I'm a human being, and probably next week, a month, who knows? Let's hope not. But my life for the last week has been 180 degrees different, as in way more energized, happy, good mood. I wake up super relaxed.
Never make the connection immediately, right? You really have to look at this stuff.
Worse even. I have been through this before, and still I go into it. But like it's just it's an addiction, you know.
And you keep going into it until you really learn.
Exactly.
So life works, no?
So now I'm not doing it, and I'm way more productive, way more happy. Because what is the problem with the anxiety thing, as you said, it makes you look into the future. The sales, for me, checking how much we're selling and if we're making a profit and how much, is basically me being scared of the future, being scared of, is this going to work?
And being attached to the outcome.
And being attached to the outcome, which, as we talked about before, it makes you enjoy the process a lot less, makes me way more anxious because I'm focused on it has to go well, it has to go well, it has to go well, but that doesn't make it go well.
No. It actually makes it...
It makes it go worse, and it makes you way less happy.
Because your work suffer,
Exactly.
you talk to people differently, you talk to your employees differently.
Everything, like your relationship with the girlfriend, with my girlfriend, with yourself, like everything is worse. So, and because if you check the sales or whatever you do, that's a bad habit. Like you're projecting yourself in the future, and your attention, I realize so much energy leaks out and into those behaviors, because it's you're constantly being pulled into the future. Well, you have to do this task now, and then you have a 5-minute break, you check it, and then you have to come back to the task, and then 10 minutes later you check it again, and it seems like very minor, but in the end it's huge. So I try to basically be like, I'm doing it for the process. I realized like I really enjoy my work. I enjoy the people I work with. I think we're doing something great. It's moving into the right direction. Let's see, let's just let it go. And
let's see what happens.
Extremely happy since and extremely energized since. But the stupid thing is, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, you asked me, are you anxious? I'm like, I don't know really. I was that unaware of the fact that I'm anxious, and now if you take the anxiety away, it's suddenly like, what a difference,
That's the thing with anxiety. It's like a background noise which you don't notice until you turn it off.
Exactly.
It's like the TV static, and then you turn it off and you go,
that piece.
God damn it, it feels light and fluffy. Or maybe not fluffy. But the one thing I want to remind myself with all these things, and hopefully it applies to you too, is I'm gonna fail.
Yes.
It's not about being perfect and never drinking again and not fail. It's not even failing. I'm gonna go back to it.
Yes.
But now I've finally found a reason of why to do this, which makes sense to me instead of just withholding this.
Yeah, what was the reason before then?
The reason before was like I fucked up big normally. I had like a really drunk night where I did some stupid shit.
The classic.
And did some
You're like, I'm never gonna drink again.
Yeah. Imagine one of the last times is I had a girl over and she turned out to be a kleptomaniac, and she took my computer, my watch, blah, 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 blah. I got all of it back eventually because she was an actual kleptomaniac. But
you took a girl home.
Yeah.
And how did it go? You woke up, she was gone, and your stuff
She was gone, and imagine my drunkenness. I didn't even remember having brought back a girl.
Oh.
Let's not go too deep into that.
Oh.
But yeah, after that one, I was like
Never
6 months sober.
Oh, it worked though.
It worked for a little bit, but during that whole period, I was dying to go out and party and have drinks with my butts and blah, blah, blah. Now, if I've switched the focus a little bit, which I hope I have, okay, I'll drink, but to me it's always, okay, I'm trying to grow, I fall back, I realize I did, and as soon as possible, I go back on track.
Yeah.
And that's it, not beating myself up because I smoked some weed or whatever.
No. Exactly.
Let's see.
Let's see. Let's see in like 180 days.
Where we're both.
Exactly. Let's see if you can enjoy. I'm really interested to see if you can enjoy yourself in the same environment, because I think that's going to be very difficult.
It might switch, and I'm not against it, because to be honest, in the last years, the enjoyment I got out of going out and drinking has been less and less and less.
Yeah.
Because it gets super repetitive. I've done it for years. So it gets super repetitive.
Yeah.
That's probably why I was also in this state in myself, because I was drunk and high during the ski trip.
Yeah.
But I've done this. I've done this many times. So I don't mind if my life switches at all.
I think I understand. I think the older you get, the less pleasurable pleasure becomes. If that makes any sense. For me, at least, personally. But a lot of things are just because of the repetitiveness. But everything, for me, I realize more that everything that I consider pleasurable always comes with a hangover.
I don't agree.
Meaning, like, if I even watch a TV show or something or stare at a screen, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to watch a movie. 2-hour movie, and then after I kind of, I just feel a bit more lazy and more of a couch potato. I don't like it that much. And, I mean, maybe not everything, but if food is the same. If I eat really addictive, sugary, nice food, then after my stomach is a bit upset, or I feel a bit more, like, annoyed by the amount of sugar that's in my body. Drugs and alcohol is kind of obvious. But other things, the opposite, the suffering becomes more pleasurable the older I get. The going to a sauna is can be perceived as suffering. Taking an ice bath can be perceived as suffering. For people, maybe meditating, sitting still is not very pleasurable, or physical activity like you do boxing. A lot of people would consider to be suffering. Going to the gym, the same. So many things that actually, and most of these things are disciplining yourself, and that type of suffering, of disciplining yourself and learning also to deal with pain and these kind of things, for me, that has become more pleasurable in the years. And a lot of the hedonistic things, I see the hangover, at least I perceive the hangover more. Maybe it's always been there, but
I thought the same for a while, but then I realized there are so many things to do which doesn't give you any hangover at all, which are super pleasurable. And even if they don't include any suffering, if you go out into nature and walk by a riverbank,
yes,
at the end of the day, you're going to be tired, you're going to be super happy, and there's no hangover involved. If you go to the beach and swim in the sea, it's going to be amazing. If you hang out with friends and if they're good friends, if it's people you like, and just have a chat and a healthy meal, doesn't have to be burgers. It's going to be super pleasurable. I just think that on one hand, we have been sold by society the wrong pleasures.
That's the thing, very true. We mean different pleasures. I agree with this.
I mean, if the advertising on TV would be like, hey, go out into nature, have fun this week.
Hang out with your buddies.
Hang out with your buddies.
Give them a hug.
Instead of potato chips and Mars and burgers and alcohol, maybe everybody would be going more to there. And the other thing is, going back to what we said earlier, once you are over the initial resistance of the body to spend energy and make a habit out of it, it's way more pleasure than suffering. Meaning boxing,
yes,
even sex. I mean, sex can be super pleasurable with no hangover. You might be tired, especially good sex. And so many things, going for a walk, fixing that fence, what you said. I mean,
it was for me even like the ski trip, the snowboarding. I've done paragliding, or more like adrenaline type of things.
That's because I think, at least me, because last time it was also for me, it wasn't amazing, and I used to remember it amazing, and we sound like two little brats, but I don't care. To me, the body gets most engaged, or the consciousness gets most engaged when it's an absolutely new experience. And with society, we slowly all go into routines, right? Work, then TV, then eating fast food, then eating this, blah, blah, blah. If we are pushing ourselves, it would need to mean that you're constantly looking for the new experience, or at least new for yourself. I don't know how to explain this, but let's say you create a bigger business. I'm pretty sure you're going to be super engaged, because now...
In a sense.
It is.
No, it's not, but yes and no.
But there's, I think maybe you're right. Maybe it's always going to be this yin and yang, or bittersweet. The first time you did paragliding, I'm pretty sure you were...
No, boring.
It wasn't boring, but it was probably pretty scary. No, it
not
wasn't.
scary, not boring, not scary, not no. It was not by myself. I was just hanging there with some guy, you know.
But before you went, wasn't it scary at all?
Before the guy, not really.
No, because in my experience, the best parts of life normally are preceded by a lot of fear.
Hmm.
You know, Will
Yeah.
Smith said this actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
Like I don't know.
Let's say you go
I
skydiving.
strongly disagree. With
Yeah.
that. Because I think that's all adrenaline based. I personally like the adrenaline things a lot less. Like for example, snowboarding, I'm just like and the skydiving probably will be like I did indoor skydiving, which is not the same at all. But I mean, like most of these adrenaline things, which again seems like the most purest pleasure, one of the most purest pleasures, like drugs, for example.
Mhm.
Like they get you into this state of mind where you, it's supposed to be at least very pleasurable, but it's mostly, it turns you on basically. And those things for me have become a lot less. So the more I get my enjoyment out of quote unquote healthy behavior, the less I like the other things.
Okay.
Even sex, like sex is very nice, but I've done it many times. Well
done.
This is the best moment. Thank you very much. Well done. Yeah, I'm very proud of that as well. Yeah,
Hey,
I've had sex
muy bien.
many times.
But I didn't just mean the address.
No, well, are you bored of sex or not? You like? Do you really?
I have been with couples.
Oh.
I have been with couples, of course. I mean, I think that goes back to nature.
But have you not been bored? Like I know you're meeting a new girl, but it's still, you've done it many. I assume you've done it many times.
Okay.
Is it not? It's still exciting for you always.
Yes, especially with a new girl. I mean,
I remember when I was single, I was also, but maybe I tend to overdo it. But I was super bored of it at some point.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, now and at this age, the craving for it has gotten less.
Mm.
But still, when I'm having sex for the first time with a person,
Right.
it's all these
Porn.
feelings.
Do you masturbate? Is it boring too? Porn.
Porn, I don't find it super
Exactly.
exciting.
So that's something but you in the past, I guess, you would find it exciting, no? Or not?
I've never been a fan of porn.
Huh.
To me, porn is one of the. I've used it
Many
a
times.
few times, a few times too.
Right.
But I've never been a fan of it because porn always makes me. It comes with a big hangover. Since we
Huh.
were speaking of hangovers,
It
I
does?
masturbate, I finish, and I don't feel good about myself. It's because I think in the back head I know that most of these girls don't want to be there at all, and the way they're treated is not nice normally. They just go, I don't know, they have the dick up and the esophagus. It's not
Not
cool.
comfortable.
It's not nice.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I finished. And I was like, even though I was super horny
Yeah.
a second ago, then afterwards I go like,
So-
feel a little ashamed, you know?
you have the porn shame.
I don't know. Is that a thing?
I had it in the past. I'm
Not
past it.
anymore.
Yeah, but I don't enjoy it either. But for me, I don't know. Like I can really enjoy sex, but the urge to do it, to start, or it just becomes less. And with many, like it's for me nearly everything. I used to really video games is a classic example, I guess. Or watching TV shows, or maybe that's why you said the types of pleasure, or eating bad food, or eating sugary food, or what else do you do? Smoking weed, or like these adrenaline things. Doing drugs is also I consider an adrenaline thing. New sexual experiences or crazy sexual experiences, like all these things, I don't really,
Well, maybe it's an issue of meaning because sometimes when people have it all, I don't say you are, but you just make me think of, I was talking to this girl yesterday and she says, I have this millionaire friend. He has everything. He has perfect wife, perfect family, lots of money. He doesn't have a care in the world and he's depressed out of his ass. sometimes, and for me, I know from experience, meaning has always been a big struggle in my life. Find why am I actually living? Why am I doing all of this? Why am I working like I am? Why am I living where I am? And until you define your own meaning, sometimes everything else starts losing sense.
Yeah, but the good things, for me, like all of the things like going to the gym or doing breath work or I am becoming extremely boring is what I'm saying. All of the boring things like going to bed early, reading a book, doing meditation, breath work, walking the dog, eating healthy, like I'm really becoming that person, and I really like it a lot. It's super awesome. Yeah, but
great.
At the same point, it's kind of weird. Like I was wondering, like if you, because I would think you're a bit older than I am, and like I was wondering, like, do you think if you would be 80, like, is it not something, like, don't you get tired of these things? Like you said, you went out many times, or you had sex many times, and you got drunk many times, or smoked weed many times. Like, aren't those things, isn't there like a diminishing return on all of these things? Like the more you do it, the less you enjoy it?
Well, I think so, but at the same time, I think life is endless.
And what sounds?
In the sense, there's always more stuff to explore until you die.
Yeah, but you're doing the same stuff.
Or am I? You know? That's why switching focus or perspective is important to me, or why trying new things is important to me, and why I could never be the guy that works 30 years the same job, and why I'm not married. I mean, I get bored quickly. And yeah, I stop enjoying, even though it started up here, eventually it goes up to here. That's why I love boxing, because it's constant learning. It's always new.
Yeah.
It's always new.
And it's very, you have to be extremely aware in the moment to do it, like nothing else, because someone is trying to punch you in the face. You know, it's kind of a one of a kind experience, the whole martial arts kind of thing, I think.
Yeah, martial arts, or I don't know, working a certain job a certain way can be the same thing. I mean, my father, for example, whenever he started a company, he used to bet the farm, and we were 7 in the family, but he bet everything.
He went all in.
He went all in.
God.
He went all in, and my mom was like, yeah, you go do it. Worst case scenario, you go back to working as a waiter, which is how it started out.
That's intense.
Got some big balls, but that's his way to keep interest, I guess, or keep himself motivated. We all have to find our own. Maybe eventually everything will get boring for you, but I don't think so, because there's so much stuff to explore. You know?
Yeah, that's true. But the whole boring part, I do feel like I kind of think that the reason why I was checking the whole sales thing is that the anxiety is kind of an adrenaline feeling as well. You know, you get up, you're like, oh, it makes
you feel alive.
Makes you feel alive. It gives you purpose, because at least you know where you don't want to be, right? It's like,
yes.
I don't want to be there, so I have purpose now.
Gives you motivation.
Exactly, it keeps you motivated. So I was way more happy in the last week. Way more happy. It's like day and night difference. But there's also this gnawing feeling now that I'm like, you know, what the meaning thing, like you said, that if you bet the whole farm and you go all in, then, I mean, there's a lot of meaning, because you have everything to lose and everything to gain. But the moment you basically don't give yourself that feeling, there was a quote of I was listening to Osho, and he also always has these stories about Mullah Nasruddin. And Mullah Nasruddin,
that's a mouthful.
That's a mouthful, and I think that's like a mystical, how do you say it, like a fairy tale, not a fairy tale, but like it's a kind of persona they created in Sufi, which is an Islam mysticism, I think, to basically make fun of, in a sense. So
what's the name again?
Mullah Nasruddin.
I will
remember this. Exactly. Okay. So this is the story. Mullah Nasruddin, he always complains about that, his feet hurt so much. He's the whole day, his feet hurt so much. And he's telling this to a friend. He's like, yeah, why do they hurt so much? And the guy says, Mullah Nasruddin says, yeah, I have them, they're a pair too small,
A what?
There's a size too small.
Okay.
So let's say he has 42 he needs, and he has all day he's wearing 41, and his whole day is like, my feet, they're killing me, and he's hating it. And his friend is like, why don't you
Fresh up.
switch your shoes, to 42? You don't have that. He's like, you don't understand. The moment I take off those shoes,
It's the
it's the best feeling ever. After a long day of working, I come home, I take off my shoes, and damn, that's bliss. That's the feeling. So yeah, Osho then talks about this. It's like, yeah, this is what people do, Like you put, like I'm doing with the sales, I'm checking the sales, I'm making this painful for myself. I'm like, I don't want to be here, I want to be there, let's check it. And then the moment you're there, it feels so good, but it only feels so good because you put yourself to that stupid shit in the first place. You didn't have to.
No.
But then again, it's a supernatural thing to do, to put yourself through that. I think most people do. So now I've not been doing it for a week. And the last time that I did this, I think we also had a conversation, and I was kind of lost. I'm like, I don't know if it was on the podcast or not, but I was like, yeah, now everything kind of feels meaningless or empty. I feel like I'm super at peace, but I didn't, I didn't have the shoe anymore. Now I'm just always in the kind of relaxed state, what I'm used to, because my whole life I've not been doing that. I've been being like, okay, if I made like everybody, you make a contract with yourself. I'm only going to be happy and at peace if I achieve this, or if I do this, and if not, I'm going to feel like shit. So the moment you stop doing that, it gets very weird,
It is. That story, what it seems to describe is dualism, no? I mean, there cannot be good without bad. No?
Yes, at least a contrast. If you, without something to contrast the good feeling, exactly.
You need
without
the bad feeling,
exactly.
so you can recognize the good when it comes.
At least the peaks.
What I think could help is if there will always be contrast, there will always be dualism, and there will always be the black and the white. You just choose another black and another white, which are, instead of being addicted to checking that Facebook page, business page, you choose something else. I don't know. Challenge the feeling of getting bored, or getting bored is the black, and non-being bored is the white.
Exactly. That's very wise. Osho said a similar thing, I think, as in, why don't you, if you have to choose a device...
I actually felt proud of it.
Like, yeah, I'm enlightened, bro.
Nothing.
No, he's like, why don't you just pick a small, if you have to do it, just pick a small device, meaning exactly that, like make it, you always have a contrast, you can choose the contrast, but make it into, you don't have to suffer so much, and you can make it very small and then feel good about yourself.
Yeah, or
also how good habits are formed.
A good thing and a better thing.
Yeah, exactly. You can choose that pattern, exactly. But in the end, I think that's still, you're still kind of, you're fooling, you're still, you hacked your own system basically, but you're still in the same game. Do we need to do that? Can I not just, because what my ideal situation is, what I'm trying to do, like I'm enjoying my work a lot more now. Why? Because it's not for anything else. The same as we talked about before, going to the gym. Yes, I like to look good. Yes, I like to feel good, but also I just love being there, So if you could let go, let's hypothetically, if you could totally let go of the future, so you don't worry about the future, you're just gonna be like, I'm gonna do the very best with what I choose to do, and I'm gonna just learn the most I can, and I'm gonna, if I go to the gym, like you balance the way that you really try to move slowly with the weights, that you go into, it's like a meditative experience, you enjoy it. Do we then need the goal, as in you need a goal, more like a goal is an endpoint. You need a direction, I think, but the goal is a goal not always, that's my question, is any goal not always going to end up being counterproductive to your own happiness, because you're still making these contracts for your own happiness. You're still being like, if this doesn't happen, then
I won't be that.
No.
To me, it depends on which goal you choose, because a goal normally creates a certain kind of attachment, which then creates a certain kind of anxiety and happiness, and the counterpart, which is happiness if you achieve that goal. No?
Yeah.
So I'd suggest we need to find a goal which forces you to be in the present. Which goal could be that? That's
why does it have to be a goal?
Because you want a goal or a direction, call it whatever you want. Let's imagine yourself. I want.
But you understand what I mean? Like, you're still patting yourself on the back, and you're still patting. It's a carrot. You're giving yourself the carrot and the stick. Do we need it?
No, I'm just saying choose your own meaning. Choose what you're living for.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have to be a goal into the future. It can be my meaning and my life is to be as present as possible always.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good. I mean,
maybe that's what all the spiritual teachers say, right?
In a sense, the moments for me at least when I live that, but I don't have it as a goal. But if you, Osho would say, I think to burn the candle by both ends, to live life to the extremes in a sense. But so if you do something, fully do it, which is doing it with awareness. I think there's the most. That's for me the most meaningful, because then each separate moment has meaning. In the end, it's all gonna be over. You're gonna die, but I mean, that's gonna happen anyway. And the only real thing is to dance the dance and to live the life and to have the meaning in the moments, which I used to think about these, what is the meaning, or what should I do, or like have these big ideas. And I think you can still move into a certain direction to try and do something with your life, or at least to try to not do harm and try to be good to yourself. But I think anytime the goal or the meaning lies outside of the current thing you're doing, or
The what thing?
the current thing,
What's the current?
the thing you're doing now.
Okay, the current.
The current, yeah,
Got it.
exactly. The current thing you're doing. I think you're already making that split between now you're not being in the present, basically.
Yes.
And then you're in your mind, and then you're not being. It's not real to a certain extent. You're just playing mind games. But if you're in the moment, having a conversation, going to the gym, that's really living. Like the things that you're really aware, that's really living.
I agree. And to me, the way I made this, I could reconcile this that's why I say, to me, the meaning of life is evolution. And the best way to evolve is staying in the present constantly, because the present will force you to face all your traumas, all your fears, everything that's holding you back. So that's how I reconcile these two issues. I'm not attached to the outcome, because evolution is kind of a vague goal. It's not, I want to be this much evolved. I don't want to.
Exactly.
I want to grow this much.
You just don't want to suffer as much, I assume, no?
Yeah, I just want to grow. I don't know
Why
if
do you
that's
wanna
the
grow?
same thing, because that's what makes me happier. Okay, good. Thank you for clearing that up for me. Yes, I don't want to suffer as much, or I want to be happier, whichever side
Exactly.
you want.
It's why you want to see it, but you want to, exactly. And you want to, me at least, I would like to be happy. It's super simple.
It's so simple as it gets, right?
Yeah.
And the best way I found this to occur is staying in the present.
Yeah.
That's the happiest I've ever
But to
been.
deal with your shit, as in because the shit of your past, if that's basically if that's coming up, and if you're traumatized by your past experience, or you still, if
As
you give
we
it attention,
all are.
exactly, as we all are. If you don't, because that's what growth is, right? Everyone has a past and baggage, and if you don't deal with that shit's gonna haunt you
All your life.
their whole life. So basically, if you the whole growth thing, I think, is slowly you're cutting away, you're removing, or you're
Removing past trauma.
moving past
Or
trauma
resolving.
or
past-
bad habits, and then your life becomes basically due to that growth. your mind is less distracted. Like the things we're talking about now is in me with the addiction to the checking the results. Like the moment you realize that, suddenly my week's amazing. So if you consistently focus on growth, then automatically, I mean, you start living more in the present because you're eliminating all of the things where your mind goes, like all the bad quote unquote things that you're thinking of, and all the traumatic things. Like you're trying to understand how it is and become better, and then that will be gone. Next time you're sitting on a sofa, you're not gonna have the same shitty thought or shitty thing. You're gonna be like, no, I'm gonna go for a walk. It's nice. You're gonna feel good. You don't suffer that much.
Because I do honestly believe that within us there is pure happiness.
Yeah.
That's how we're born. And look at any kid.
They also cry a lot though.
Yeah, because they're okay, but mostly happiness. And nobody's free of trauma. But then with our life, we put on these layers, and now we're taking these layers off. And this brings me back to the beginning. Alcohol, weed, all of these things are distractions from being able to remove these layers.
I agree.
Let's see how it works.
That's a really good way to wrap it up.
I know. I was thinking about it for a while.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, how
can we wrap this shit up? All right.
No,
Did
just
it.
for the last 20 seconds.
All right, that's good. Very good. Well, thanks for the conversation. It was nice.
Thank you very much.
Good one. Ciao.
Eyes on Growth is an original podcast produced by Inkululeko Studios, hosted by Joshua Mullendakes and Luciano Anz, editing by Sofia Vicente. Thank you for listening, and keep an eye out for our upcoming episode.